What's cracking, people? It's your man, Cousin T, aka the Alpha Wingman, representing high-level technicians, operating globally and beyond. So listen, first of all, I want to say thank you to all of the people who have been tuning in. Shout out to all of the other content creators that I've been doing live streaming panels with. You gentlemen are truly exceptional, and during this time we're definitely having exceptional conversations that I hope that a lot of our viewers are taking to heart and disseminating amongst themselves, and also sharing with people who they believe can benefit from these powerful conversations that are being had. So beyond that, what I wanted to do is to carry forward the information that's coming from my book, The Seduction Scriptures, but also I want to continue to highlight key components that play out in everyday life, but especially hone in on the series Insecure. And I mean, it's been an interesting observation of how art imitates life, because in this instance, in the instance of Insecure, this art, according to the writers, has to imitate life to the point where the writing staff in their meetings, as was brought out by Master Teacher BGS, they are actually making sure, as a rule, they tell stories. Obviously, they change names, but they tell stories from actually events as they unfold, which is why the Insecure format does not necessarily follow sort of the traditional character arcs in TV. So TV, can be more predictable and more sort of formulaic with its character development. Whereas in Insecure, the way that they're positioning the various episodes and how they're presenting the various interpersonal dynamics of the characters, and as a result, now the series has become more relatable to a broader spectrum of people. Now, that being said, let's look at the most recent episode as at the time of me recording this particular podcast. Now, this is from Insecure Season 4, Episode 4. And there have been some great reviews done on this particular episode. In this space, in particular, Fieldmaster Ron Wills has done a great presentation with Ms. Mocha Angel, and also the Master Teacher BGS has done a great overall review. Now, what I want to key in on is an element that I've made a few videos about on both the YouTube side and a more ratchet version over on the Patreon side. I'll link those down below. But this element I like to refer to as the Office fuck file, or the Office F file. And I'm going to post on the screen the section of my book, The Seduction Scriptures, that highlights and breaks down the various elements and aspects of the Office fuck file. Now, I won't do a deep dive regarding all of the elements of the Office F file in this video. I wanted to focus in on just one element, which is the type of man that was present in this particular scene in Insecure. Notice in this clip what the sort of attributes of this guy amount to during the discussion of the three ladies, and think about which position of the Office fuck file this guy has been pegged as. All right.
IBMOR, I ain't been to yoga since we started this case, and I'm pushing these scenes to the limits.
Cut it out. Anything else I get you ladies?
No, I think we're good. Thanks, BJ.
I actually just go by Bennett now.
Oh, excuse me, Bennett. Bennett. You can deny it all you want, but I used to mentor him and his little friends in law school. He's a baby. I mentored a few people too back in the day. It's not even like that. And even if it was, I He only dates Abigail. No. Why? He's at a firm with Negroes. There is no way. Think about it, y'all. He went to prison on the grad. He plays guitar. Oh my God. He's been here 2 weeks and ordered 6 salads. He loves salad. Damn. He lives in Silver Lake too. We lost him.
Well, that was quick. In less than 45 seconds, the woman had discussed his scouting report, went over his office activity, and verbally passed him around the circle really quick to determine who would get with this particular guy. Now, this is the very TV cleaned up, they had to follow a certain guideline version of a discussion that women have all the time regarding men who are in and who are not in the office F-file. But honestly, gentlemen, in a real life scenario, if any one of those women wanted to go after Bennett, Abigail's be damned, okay? They would have positioned themselves, and the other two would have assisted in a situation being set up where Bennett would have been on some lunch meeting with the person who's targeting him. He would have had his desk moved. He would have been reassigned. There are a lot of things that could happen to whereas, women, especially senior level women, like I said in my book, have considerable sway within an office situation. Now, I won't be doing, like I said, a deep dive here in this particular video. That's going to be reserved for a webinar hosted by the Field Master, Ron Wells, coming up soon. So go ahead and holler at him to see if he can get you in on that. In any case, did you figure out, were you able to discern what classification these women had placed Bennett within the office fuck file? Well, look at page 77 of the Seduction scriptures. Go down to the intern. They literally use the words in in this scene. Gentlemen can't make this stuff up. Now, quickly it says, this fresh-faced college-aged newbie is just the shot of life any office setting needs. His can-do attitude, coupled with a natural high-energy approach, reminds the more seasoned women in the office of how it felt to have something young, dumb, and full of, well, exuberance between their legs. Gentlemen, let's be clear. The reason why I was able to pen the words that these women used in this series almost verbatim, nearly a year and a half prior to HBO publishing this scene for the rest of the public, is because I have a unique set of experiences and skill sets with women that allow me to see a side of women that the vast majority of men, we'll say 95%, have not been privy to. I understand that listening to a man who's lived a diesel lifestyle for so long and who has these stories, who has these experiences, who's seen the raw and unfiltered, uncut truth about female nature, can be challenging to damn near insulting to a lot of men. Okay, think about those bachelorette parties. Think about those divorce parties. Think about those party bus scenes, about those girls' night out that men like myself have been in a position of observing firsthand and interacting and engaging with a guy's fiance or ex-wife or whatever, and then the next day she goes off and gets married to him. That's tough and challenging for a lot of guys to even try to process. That's why on the first page of the preface in my book, I clearly state this is not for the would-be nice guy. This is not for the type of guy who wants the old school back, who wants to live in the 50s, 40s, and 30s. This is not for the guy who wants the fantasy to continue, who wants to play a certain role from a certain position. Because at the end of the day, this whole other side is still playing out simultaneously. The difference is, if you choose to ignore it, you simply won't have this information. You won't have the answers to why women do what they do. What do women want? What is the purpose of these things? But beyond that, throughout my book and throughout my content, I make sure that I address the man first. Because the most important thing to keep in mind when you're engaging with not only women but the world itself is to know who you are as a man. Masculine mastery is the mantra of this space called the Select Manosphere. It is not about being mad at people. It is not about yelling and screaming, even though that's great in some doses. It's therapeutic in some doses. However, that's not the end all be all. What do you do the next day? What do you do when you actually have the truth? Can you handle the truth? With the information that you receive from different men who have been in different spaces, that can bring you back truth, honesty, and actual reports from the perspective of a man capable of removing a woman's mask, and who knows what to do once that mask has been removed. From the perspective of a man who's capable of flipping the dynamic of attraction from boy chases girl or man chases woman to actually woman pursuing man. And of course, receiving information from the perspective of the type of man capable of interacting with on multiple levels with the 100 octane dimes, with the queen bees, with the top mistress, with the 92 natural 92s, 92 climbers, with 89s, 87s, and of course the occasional 85, but we don't talk about that. At the end of the day, you always have to come full circle and look at the one constant denominator throughout all of these experiences, because honestly, you can get with the dimes, you can get with the 100 octane, you can get with the diesels, you can get with the 92s, you can see what it's like to engage with all of these different types of women. But who are you at the beginning of the day? Who are you at the end of the day once you've engaged and interacted with all of these different types of women? If you're not consistently the man who is engaged in his mission, who is on his path of masculine mastery, then yes, you are going to be lost. Yes, you are going to be afraid of this information. You're going to be afraid to see what's on the other side of true female nature. Because if you don't know who you are as a man, none of these experiences will have meaning. And that is the point. That is the purpose of masculine mastery. As a man, as a true masculine master, you give your experiences meaning. You give the outside world meaning. You give the relationships that you entertain meaning. But that only comes when you know who you are, when you have embraced your role as a masculine master. And gentlemen, that is only the beginning. Once you do that, once you've embraced your role as a masculine master, then comes the mission. Select men, pre-select men, non-select men. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and as always, this is your man Cousin T, aka the Alpha Wingman, saying, stay sharp and mission focused. Later.